Absolutely. And thanks for your company. See you next time on The Chase Australia.
Tonight on 7 News, Queensland schools to start reopening from next Monday, with early years and senior years to go first.
Big crowds at Burleigh and wild house parties spoil what could have been the perfect long weekend.
Restaurants and cafes making a comeback soon. We look ahead to Mother's Day.
A kayaker rescued after texting for help and treading water for 2 hours in Moreton Bay.
A class action for travellers who can't get refunds for cancelled flights.
Exclusive, go-kart holders losing money without even realising it. A warning for commuters.
And day one back at work for NRL players, temperatures tested and taught about life in the new normal.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Sharyn Ghidella and Max Futcher.
Good evening. For parents, it has caused more stress than any other restriction, but homeschooling is about to end.
A staggered start will see 160,000 students go back to class next week. The rest will only return if cases remain low.
From a Forest Lake family,
really excited for the kids,
to Tarragindi.
I miss some of my teachers.
Homeschooling, a lesson in contractions, composure and COVID-19 risk management is almost over.
And I know there's a lot of people who've been waiting for this.
Kindies, preps, year 1s, 11 and 12 return next Monday. Years 2 to 10 have to wait until May 25, but only
if we continue to have low numbers.
Teachers have 4 days to prepare for the return of 4 year levels.
We expect the road to be a rocky one and it won't all be smooth sailing.
The staggered start will split families. Ava Brown from Greenslopes will cut her 4th birthday cake with kindy friends, but sister Ruby, who's in grade 2, will keep learning at home.
Buoyancy, friction.
To make sure there is no friction in schools, there'll be no gathering at pick-up and drop-offs, no assemblies. Queensland's biggest school, Kelvin Grove, just opened its new $22 million sports centre. It was built to fit all 3,600 students, but won't. By the time children return to school, they will have missed out on between 3 to 6 weeks of in-class learning. But have they missed out on an education? Well, there'll still be Term 2 testing.
They haven't missed school. They've learnt in a different modality. They've learnt different skills.
All assessment will be modified, especially for seniors.
We will not have a year 13. They will all receive an ATAR, those who want to go for an ATAR.
Other rites of passage are at risk. Formals, graduations, even schoolies.
No one's booking anything for schoolies yet. We're sort of just holding out and waiting to see what happens.
Erin Edwards, 7 News.
Restaurants and cafes could be open within a month under an ambitious plan to reignite Queensland's hospitality industry. But police warn celebrations could prove premature if large public gatherings that flout social distancing laws, like the one at Burleigh Heads yesterday, are repeated.
Sunset drinks at Burleigh Hill. A picturesque way to while away an afternoon, but police want the rug pulled on this sort of risky behaviour.
The message cannot be clearer. It's your own household or you and one other out and about to enjoy the easing of these restrictions.
146 infringement notices were issued over the weekend, none at the questionable Sunday session. Officers instead directing revellers socially distance or move on, while most did.
Police are still seeing instances where members of our community are blatantly and recklessly disregarding the directives.
9 people in their early 20s were busted at a banyo party, and at a Gold Coast gathering, police meted out more than $33,000 in infringements. The breaches, the exception, on an otherwise blemish-free weekend, prompting the Premier to set the bar on reopening cafes and restaurants.
I can't say whether it's early June or late June, but I'm going to have those discussions.
There were 3 new coronavirus cases overnight.
One case was contracted in London, one in Los Angeles and one on a cruise ship.
On a public holiday, picnics were popular again across the southeast. At South Bank, people exercised their new freedoms. New Farm Park and Redcliffe predictably busy. We are seeing some elements of normal life being reintroduced, but others we may never see return. The Chief Health Officer today admitting that even after a vaccine arrives, shaking hands could be a thing of the past.
I won't be. So I think we'll think of different ways of doing things.
As we enter a different post-COVID world. Joel Dry, 7 News.
So, Carly, how are crowds at Burleigh this evening?
Well, Sharyn, there were still quite a few people gathered here on the point this evening, but as soon as that sun went down, they quickly dispersed. Still, it was nothing compared to those crowds that we saw yesterday. Quite a few police have been out patrolling, and council has installed some extra signage and barriers encouraging people to keep their distance. So it could be that making a difference, or it could quite simply be that it is the end of a long weekend, one that kept police on the Gold Coast very busy.
While the easing of restrictions felt like a good enough reason to celebrate, it wasn't.
There's at least 16 people in here, maybe 18.
This was the second time police were called to this Airbnb in Carrara. On Friday night, 7 young men were fined. Early Sunday morning,
ladies, this way.
18 people, including 5 from the night before.
Who do you think you are? I'm the birthday boy.
A party that cost him and his guests more than $33,000.
It's young kids just being gangsters, you know.
People involved have shown a blatant disregard for the Chief Health Officer's directions.
In Pimpama, police arrived to a DIY disco.
Hey guys.
Dozens of people had already fled. The 28-year-old resident slapped with a fine. As the sun rose over Burleigh Hill this morning, barricades, signs and police had moved in.
People want to take advantage of it, but they just need to be sensible, I think.
All cop a fine. Police say last night's warnings have expired.
If this continues, we have no other option but to issue those $1,334 infringements.
A sign it's not just police fed up with crowds. On the Gold Coast, Amanda Abate, 7 News.
New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern will join Australia's National Cabinet meeting tomorrow to discuss the possible resumption of travel between the two countries. Scott Morrison will also map out a path to further relaxing restrictions on Friday.
Once busy shopping centres now virtually deserted.
Just very miserable.
Most closed, those who've remained open doing it tough.
We just can't wait to be back to the old days, you know what I mean?
The wait mightn't be too long.
We'd like to think within the next week or so that we would start to see retailers opening.
National Cabinet will discuss that tomorrow as it prepares to announce the first major easing of restrictions on Friday.
Of course we want shops to open. We want people to go back into the shopping centres.
Any reopening will be gradual, extending it to restaurants and bars, a 50-50 chance.
And it's very important that we all take baby steps.
One of those steps, encouraging people back into offices for 1 or 2 days a week, a gradual wind back of working from home as work on a vaccine continues.
It's entirely possible that by the end of this year or early next year, we will have a vaccine for COVID-19.
New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern will join tomorrow's National Cabinet video conference to discuss a possible easing of border restrictions between the two countries to create a trans-Tasman bubble, allowing travel between the two countries, but not for some weeks yet.
It's fair to say there are significant advantages for New Zealand in terms of a trans-Tasman bubble.
Mr Morrison also speaking with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson last night, canvassing Britain's support for an independent investigation into the pandemic, despite China's angry resistance. Mark Riley, 7 News.
A man has survived rough seas after his kayak flipped near Wellington Point. The pastor says he treaded water for hours and prayed before being rescued by Coast Guard.
The moment Pastor Carsten Woodhouse's prayers were answered after treading water for 2 hours lost at sea. Coast Guard pulled him to safety. He was thankful to be reunited with his wife.
I need to go home, but I just want to say a very big thank you to the Australian Volunteer Coast Guard and to the Queensland Police and the Water Police. Thanks, guys.
His kayak flipped in choppy conditions at Wellington Point, sparking a large-scale air and sea search just before midday.
He went out on the kayak and the wind caught him. He blew the wrong way. He flew out of the kayak. He was treading water for a few hours.
His wife Mandy says the search was only launched after her husband managed to grab his mobile phone and call a friend for help.
Our friend was able to call me, then call the Coast Guard.
Conditions weren't great.
After scouring the water, rescuers initially spotted his damaged kayak and were bracing for the worst. But in the distance, about 200 metres away, the Brisbane Coast Guard commander spotted something bobbing in the water.
Saw this little tiny black speck over on the horizon and went over and had a look, and it turned out to be him.
Karsten drifted about 3 nautical miles off Wellington Point without a life jacket on.
Pretty happy to see us turn up. He was treading water, holding on to the little gear pack that he had with his phone in it.
After being checked by paramedics at Manly Coast Guard, he was given the all clear to head home.
Very tired and ready for a coffee.
Marlena Wapp, 7 News.
Police have ruled out foul play in the disappearance of a boatie on Cape York. Anthony Van Haren's 5-metre boat was found washed up at Mission River near Weipa on Saturday, but there's no sign of the 42-year-old. Search crews have been scouring the area, a known crocodile habitat.
A land and sea search and rescue has been conducted, utilising aerial assets, foot assets, quad bikes.
He hasn't been heard from since last Wednesday.
A Victorian police officer has been suspended over claims he took sneaky photos of a former AFL coach in custody. Dean Laidley is accused of stalking dressed as a woman at the time. His lawyer describes the release of the pictures as an appalling breach of privacy.
It's the arrest that's exploded into a scandal. Hours after Dean Laidley was charged with stalking, photos of him in custody shared on social media, showing him wearing a dress and a blonde wig. Now it's the police investigating their own.
This is one of the most appalling breaches, and I cannot recall a breach of someone's privacy like this.
A senior constable who was not involved in the arrest is accused of taking the photo during the 53-year-old's police interview. His mugshot also photographed.
It was an idiotic thing to do. It's an unacceptable thing to do.
It's claimed the officer shared the pictures with 6 other people. He's been suspended on full pay, possibly facing criminal charges, including unauthorised disclosure of information. The penalty, up to 2 years jail.
It's a breach of trust with the community. It's a breach of our values. It's unlawful and criminal conduct.
Lawyers believe Dean Laidley could sue for damages.
Look, I think it's serious because there are elements of transphobia involved in the salacious release of these photographs.
The father of 3 remains in custody, facing stalking charges and committing an offence while on bail. For anyone else sharing the photos, this message from a stunned senior officer.
Do the right thing by the person whose images these are and delete them.
Cameron Bowe, 7 News.
An elderly man has become the 15th resident to die from coronavirus at Sydney's Newmarch house. The family of another resident who died just 48 hours after being confirmed as positive has now been told earlier test results were likely wrong.
They had just 2 days between being told she'd tested positive to when she passed away.
I'm appalled, I'm angry, I'm upset, obviously. I'm frustrated.
Mark and Nicole Fay grappling with the sudden loss of 76-year-old Anne Fay, mother, grandmother.
This is a ruby princess on land. People are dying. It's not good enough.
Speaking out on the day Newmarch began tougher health protocols, testing all staff on entry and separating COVID-positive residents. A day they also announced another death, the 15th, a male with no immediate family. Today, other families visiting revealed the enormous stress.
It's horrible. You wake up every day, you don't know if you're going to have a message.
The sort of message the Fay families say they got last night. They claim Newmarch CEO Grant Millard rang and revealed Anne may have received an incorrect test result over a week ago, a negative that could have been a positive.
If the result was correct in the first place, she would have had a week's head start.
New South Wales Health stressing residents can move out any time.
So many conflicting reports, though. 7 News has spoken to one family who say they've tried to get their grandmother out of Newmarch and into Nepean Hospital, but the hospital said no because she tested negative.
That, as authorities stamped on speculation, the Ruby Princess medical team is also helping at Newmarch.
Can you guarantee that there has been no worker that's been on the Ruby Princess that has brought the disease into Newmarch home?
I'll have to double check the records about whether anyone that was working on the cruise ship, but that is not at all our understanding.
Chris Reason, 7 News.
Despite recording its deadliest day yet with nearly 3,000 lives lost, dozens of American states are preparing to wind back coronavirus restrictions from tomorrow. And while the crisis deepens, the White House is ramping up its accusations against China.
Staging an American comeback under the gaze of an American hero.
We are joined now by President Donald Trump.
A televised town hall inside the hallowed Lincoln Memorial with an opening salvo for China.
I think they made a horrible mistake and they didn't want to admit it. We wanted to go in. They didn't want us there. You could fly out of Wuhan and you could go to different parts of the world, but you couldn't go to Beijing and you couldn't go to any place in China. So what's that all about? In other words, they knew they had a problem. I think they were embarrassed.
A leaked Homeland Security report revealing US officials believe China intentionally concealed the severity of the pandemic in January to hoard medical supplies. The White House stepping up pressure over the source of the outbreak.
I can tell you that there is a significant amount of evidence that this came from that laboratory in Wuhan.
President Trump revising up the estimates of how many American lives will be lost to COVID-19.
I used to say 65,000, and now I'm saying 80 or 90.
Announcing an ambitious goal, saying he thinks a vaccine could be ready by the end of this year.
If it's another country, I'll take my hat off to them. We're working with other countries. We're working with Australia.
Until then, 32 governors are giving businesses the green light to trade.
With more and more states moving towards reopening, pressure is growing on local authorities to enforce social distancing. Here in New York, around 1,000 police officers are patrolling streets and parks to make sure people are following the rules.
Handing out masks so there's no excuse. In New York, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
After weeks of being shut down, Queensland's tourism sector is bracing for a bounce in local demand. As we look at the road out, tourism providers are keenly waiting for the state's 50-kilometre travel ban to be lifted so they can get back to business.
The tourist strip at Mooloolaba has life once again. But with only locals allowed, not all businesses are busy.
I thought, well, we might as well open the doors and see what happens.
Linda's art gallery has been quiet. Most of her customers are tourists from the city.
We have a lot of international people buying from us as well, but because travel restrictions, we don't have any of that.
Business in the tourism sector hoping local bans will be lifted soon.
They're certainly preparing for a reopening, a reactivation, particularly of the domestic market, and that's where the hope and silver lining is.
With our international borders closed for the foreseeable future, businesses in tourism hotspots are expected to offer some great deals to encourage Queenslanders to travel locally.
I can assure you that every operator in Queensland is absolutely sharpening their pencils, looking at their product.
With more tourists travelling by car, operators will be looking to provide value experiences closer to home, something the Gold Coast hinterland has plenty of.
It's a great little place. You can come down and sit on the grass down by the creek. You can watch the turtles, you can walk an alpaca.
The outdoors also expected to be popular.
We're tipping a real renaissance in caravanning and camping moving forward over the next couple of years, with international tourism not being available for the foreseeable future.
Not an abstract idea after so much time stuck indoors. Elliot Chipper, 7 News.
Now to the weather, and Tony, some great conditions today for anyone who could get outdoors.
Yeah, Sharyn, blue skies right across the southeast. It was a cooler night than a warm day, as long as you could just catch some of that sunshine. Canunga, it dropped to just 2 degrees before reaching a top of 24. Then the extra humidity kept coastal spots warmer overnight. 12 up to 26 in Brisbane, 13 to 25 degrees for the Gold Coast. Showers are set to return. I'll be back soon with the forecast.
Thanks, Tony. Many Queenslanders have had their holiday plans ruined because of COVID-19. Now the fight for refunds, the court action plan to get your money back.
Go-Card Gold mine the staggering amount TransLink holds from expired cards.
Why hundreds of the southeast's rainbow lorikeets are dropping out of the sky.
And after sport, a Brisbane family's mission to deliver cards, drawings and gifts to our senior citizens.
Seven News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, Your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together.
Very occasionally, someone comes onto the stage, you think they are born to be a superstar.
Took a job in the city.
Her voice will have the entire audience on their feet.
Absolutely brilliant.
The truly unforgettable performance.
Incredible.
We're celebrating the extraordinary.
This is what the world has been waiting for.
Brand new Britain's Got Talent. Wednesday, 7:30 on 7.
It's LTV for me.
It's LTV for me.
More and more people are saying it's LTV for me because the LTV T60 4x4 diesel is from just $27,490 drive away. And eligible businesses may be able to claim the government instant asset write-off. Hurry, offer ends May 31.
Want skincare from natural ingredients? Try Sukin from Chemist Warehouse. Rose, hip and avocado nourish the skin, leaving it looking smooth and healthy. Sukin's signature facial moisturiser is $5.47. Live, look, feel fabulous at Chemist Warehouse.
And welcome back to the Sportsbet Elite Average Games. Last chance for the Aussies, bombing for gold. They need to pull something big out of their budgies here, JB. Poor silly salmon into a horsey! Massive! I've never seen one in the wild, but that is splash tag ridiculous. Scores are in, and they've done it! Showers of gold. A make-it-look-easy moment from Sportsbet.
The Australian Government is supporting individuals and households during the coronavirus crisis. We've introduced the $550 coronavirus supplement, doubling income support for many. It means those on the job seeker payment could receive up to $1,100 a fortnight. We're also providing two $750 payments to veterans, pensioners and other households receiving income support. These automatic payments will support up to 5 million Australian households. To find out more, visit australia.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Is your home bursting at the seams? Call Storage King. Whether you just need to create more space, kids homeschooling, working from home, or your family and business need to declutter, Storage King has the answer. With stores everywhere, there's a location just around the corner. Making Storage King the kings of storage, moving and more. Temporary or permanent solutions with no lock-in contracts and contactless move-in. Call now and let Storage King give you back some space.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
The fourth police officer killed on Melbourne's Eastern Freeway has been farewelled. The funeral of Constable Josh Presney was held at his old school, Xavier College. Only 10 people were allowed inside the chapel, but some friends gathered at a distance outside. The 28-year-old was hit by a truck and killed almost 2 weeks ago, along with 3 of his colleagues. He'd only been with the Highway Patrol for 2 days. Airlines, travel agents and tour operators have been accused of shortchanging tens of thousands of Australians. A law firm is now considering class action and calling for affected customers to come forward.
Travel providers put on notice, accused of breaching their legal obligations to customers grounded by COVID-19.
We're looking at the options for people to seek to recover their money by way of a class action that we can bring on their behalf.
Ashley Schofield was meant to fly to Germany next week, now left with a voucher from travel agent Aunt Betty worth $1,000 less than what she paid in flights.
With the credit voucher that they've given us, we aren't able to use it because it runs out in October this year.
Slater in Gordon claims she's not alone, among tens of thousands of Australians convinced to accept vouchers when they were entitled to and would have been better off with a full refund.
In other instances, we've seen airlines and travel agencies relying on their no refund clauses, which they've been warned in the past don't apply to all situations.
Virgin customers won't be able to join the legal fight, their case made more complex after the airline went into administration. Qantas and Jetstar are automatically providing vouchers, but say if customers would prefer a full cash refund, we are providing it, adding vouchers can be used until the end of 2021. Often it comes down to the terms and conditions, meaning it always pays to read the fine print. Rosanna Kingson, 7 News.
A humanitarian mission in Bolivia has come to a tragic end. 6 people were killed when an Air Force plane plummeted into a field in the country's northeast. These pictures show the aftermath of the fiery crash, wreckage strewn across marshland as smoke fills the air. Earlier reports indicate the aircraft had an engine failure shortly after takeoff. A bloody brawl has broken out on a flight from LA to Detroit, forcing pilots to make an emergency landing. Video taken on board shows one passenger punching and swearing at another as witnesses try to break it up. The mid-air chaos was triggered when one traveller became annoyed by others making noise while they were trying to sleep.
Millions of dollars sitting on expired go-cards. Next, a 7 News exclusive. How much of your money is going back into government coffers?
A monkey's frightening snatch and grab attack. What happens next?
A profit plunge for Westpac, what it means for our big banks.
And before weather, we hitch a ride with an eagle for a unique look over the Gold Coast hinterland.
Oh, wow.
Wow. One word
Wow.
Wow.
sums up this house.
I can't think of another word other than...
Like, wow.
They transformed this tired old monster
It is huge.
into the ultimate family home.
Heaven!
But one room
My favourite room of the house.
will divide the competition.
If you two were working for me, you'd be out.
The owners might have loved the room.
Have a look at this.
But will you? A reveal like no other. House Rules. Tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Hello everyone, Dan and Steph back again with Emmy, and we are so happy to be working with Coles to support the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden Foundation to inspire kids to get grubby in the kitchen and get cooking. And what a great week to get this kick-started off in the lead up to Mother's Day. And today, we are going to be cooking eggplant parmesanas. What are we cooking?
Eggplant in pajamas.
Eggplant in pajamas? Eggplant in pajamas. We need to go and pick our ingredients from the garden.
I've got one good one here.
Oh, I found one in there.
Is it big?
Big.
So we've got our eggplants and our basil. Let's head back in the kitchen. So we've got our veggies, guys, and we're back in the kitchen. We've got a little helper, Emmy, with us today. To start this recipe, we're actually going to dust these in flour and egg and fry them off.
Okay, let's get cracking, Emmy.
Beautiful.
Here we are, whisking up our eggs.
Okay, our next step, guys, we're going to slice up these eggplants. We want them about 1 centimetre thick. So next step, guys, we're going to dust the eggplants in flour, and then we're going to dip them in egg, and we're going to get them in the fryer. So pretty easy, we're just going to get all this eggplant in here. I've cut some little sections just for gap fillers.
All right, nearly finished flouring.
We're going to head over the stove and we're going to fry off our eggplant.
All right, let's go.
Can I put one in?
Doesn't take long, guys. We just want to brown that egg mix up. We're cruising along nicely. Thank you, Emmy. Okay, so our eggplant's been fried off. Now we're going to sprinkle the salt and we're going to layer this all up nice and neatly. So we've got some tomato sauce down. You want to put the tomato sauce in?
Good job.
And then all the gaps. So now we'll put the eggplants in. Next step, guys, we're going to get some cheese and some basil in there. Then we're going to get the eggplant back on. Then we're going to get sauce on top of that. We're nearly at the end. We're nearly about to put this in the oven. So we're just going to top it off with some more sauce and a good grating of Parmesan cheese. You're going to have nice salty richness on top.
Now it goes in the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes to golden up on top. And there you have it, guys. So simple and easy to make and so delicious. We really loved cooking in the kitchen with Emmy tonight, and we hope this inspires you to get into the kitchen with your kids. For the recipe, head to coles.com.au or the Kitchen Garden website. Enjoy our eggplant in pajamas.
Enjoy eggplant pajamas.
Let's go.
Enjoy our eggplant in pajamas. Woo!
Go-cards may be convenient, but they're costing Queenslanders a small fortune when they expire. A 7 News investigation has revealed just how much of our unused money is going back into government revenue.
Public transport, an express trip to the bank for the state government.
The Palaszczuk Labor government shouldn't be using go-cards as cash cows.
Information collected under RTI shows in the past 12 months, funds from 178,000 expired go-cards were due to go into consolidated transport revenue. The average money on those cards was $9, pushing $1.6 million into the government's $340 million Go Card coffers.
I wasn't aware of that.
This is what you need to know. Use all money on your Go Card. Do not let it expire. In the month leading up to its expiry, visit a ticket office or retailer to have the money transferred. 90 days after the card expires, it can no longer be used for transport, but you can get your money transferred to another card or have the expiry extended.
Even if it's a 12-year-old card, we'll check the balance on that card and we'll either move that balance across to a new Go Card or refund that balance.
A new smart ticketing system is currently being built and will be rolled out across Queensland in 2022. That system won't have the same expiry issues as Go Card. Steve Titmus, 7 News.
Westpac has joined the queue of banks delivering bleak economic news. With its profits plunging 70% in just 6 months, the bank has been hit by a triple whammy: last year's money laundering scandal, interest rates cuts, and now uncertainty due to coronavirus.
Last week, NAB and ANZ set the dismal scene for banks. Today, Westpac took centre stage.
We've never presented a result like this, with the challenges of low interest rates, COVID-19 and Westpac's own compliance issues.
First half cash profit tumbled 70% to $993 million, as the bank put aside an extra $1 billion to deal with anti-money laundering watchdog AUSTRAC and $1.6 billion for COVID-related bad debts. A decision on paying shareholders a dividend has been pushed back. Westpac says its own finances are strong, but the economy less so. 105,000 home loan accounts worth $39 billion and 31,000 business loans worth $8 billion have been put on hold.
Probably a weaker cycle in the property market, low demand for credit. It's a tough market for banks.
Westpac shares have taken a hiding since late February when they were around $25. In just 10 weeks, they've slumped nearly 40%. Today, closing under $16.
And after the heavy backlash ME Bank faced for its decision to suddenly stop home loan borrowers taking money out of their redraw accounts, it's appealed to concerned customers to get in touch.
With banks preparing for more bad debts, they're likely to approve fewer loans.
For the average person, it's going to be tougher to get money from the banks.
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
A brazen monkey has snatched a young girl before dragging her along a brick road in Indonesia. The animal rode up on what appears to be a toy motorbike and grabbed her from her seat, roughly pulling her to the ground.
Hey,
Eventually it let go and the youngster toddled back to her family. For Star Wars enthusiasts, today's date, May the 4th, holds a certain significance. And it's also the inspiration behind tonight's local hero. We visit Bald Hills and Arana Hills.
Not all heroes wear capes, but they do like to dress up.
May the 4th be with you.
Nicola Rodriguez is a celebrity in Bald Hills.
We wanted to bring that community back and the safety and just the fun with everyone. Hey, Steve.
Her mission, to bring laughter and cheer back to the burbs with a different costume theme each day.
Everybody's sort of stuck in home, the kids are getting really frustrated. So we thought that we'd go around and do some random singing.
From singing to sniffing. At Guide Dogs Queensland, social distancing doesn't quite exist. But as for the staff...
Not much human contact, but puppy contact's just fine for me.
Despite COVID-19, Daniel Smith says training these four-legged pups into guide dogs is still crucial.
It's important that while everything's still happening, that we still tick over as usual.
In Arana Hills, AJ began to the streets, delivering food care packs to locals in the area, reaching more than 60 streets already.
We have emergency relief, which goes out to families. We also have self-care packs that guide people to online mental health quizzes and tips.
And he's also been encouraging residents to chalk your walk, families drawing pictures and words of inspiration during this crisis.
We've been able to just share a bit of hope.
A mindset shared amongst this tight-knit neighbourhood.
Brisbane does kindness really well, especially with the floods and everything. You saw how the community came together. You're seeing that again now.
Brittany Lane, 7 News.
They're among the prettiest parrots we see in the southeast, but a mystery illness is causing rainbow lorikeets to drop paralysed out of the sky. Hundreds of birds have been found dead in recent weeks. Experts believe the cause is more likely a toxin than a virus.
It's come to light a lot more recently, especially during summer after it rains. We see a lot more of it, so that's why we're suspicious that it's a plant toxin.
Anyone finding a paralysed lorikeet should call the Emergency Animal Disease Hotline on 1800 675 888.
The countdown to Mother's Day is on. Next, what COVID-19 means for celebrating with your mum, especially if she lives more than 50 kilometres away.
Why a controversial Princess Diana documentary is set to upset William and Harry.
A taste of freedom across Europe, so why are many still frozen on the couch?
And after sport, meet the Brisbane mother and son on a mission to bring a smile to our senior citizens.
You slept with my brother. You covered it up for 20 odd years. And my daughter might be his. You'll always be my daughter, no matter what.
What if he's not my dad?
Home and Away, coming up next on 7.
The game that makes the most millionaires is giving you 20 million more reasons to get super excited this Saturday. Gold Lotto's $20 million Super Draw Saturday. Play now in-store at thelot.com or the Lot app.
A lot has changed over the last few months, but globally, Allianz Group's commitment to serving its 100 million customers around the world hasn't. As part of this network, Allianz Australia has been supporting our customers through uncertainty and change for over 100 years. So you can rely on us to be here for you now and in the future to ensure what matters most. Because our support doesn't stop here.
Introducing Jumpstart by Light and Easy, the simple program that will help fast-track your weight loss success and improve your health.
Within those first couple of weeks, I noticed a difference within myself.
I found results straight away, and for me, Light and Easy has been life-changing.
Jumpstart combines the proven weight loss results of intermittent eating with Light and Easy's delicious, nutritious meal plans. Whether your goal is to jumpstart your weight loss or to simply eat well and improve your health, visit lightandeasy.com.au today.
Feed the family with Hungry Jack's new family bundle. Treat yourself with 2 Whoppers, 2 cheeseburgers, 4 small chips, 4 Cokes, 10 nuggets and sauce, only $24.95. Get takeaway, drive-through or delivery at Hungry Jack's.
I want you on my side, and I want you to help me take him down once and for all.
Would I do absolutely anything to survive? Yes.
Be greedy. Be hungry.
He's not capable of alliance, only destruction.
I am a monster.
All systems have to die eventually.
The brand new season of Billions, now streaming only on Stan.
Budget Direct donated this 30-second ad to Lifeline. Because every 30 seconds, someone in crisis calls Lifeline. Which means now, more than ever, they need people at the other end of the line. So please, give what you can at lifeline.org.au. Because for people in crisis, every second counts.
To finance, and the Australian share market has closed higher, up 1.4%. The ASX 200 gained 73 points. Afterpay surged to a 2-month high after Chinese technology giant Tencent bought a 5% stake. It closed at $6 higher. The Australian dollar is buying 63 US cents and 68.1 Japanese yen. Checking fuel cars, prices are jumping to a new high, but there's still plenty of cheap fuel around. The average price for unleaded in Brisbane is 94.8 cents and 10 cents cheaper on the Gold Coast. There was no traditional march or rally to mark Labor Day across Queensland. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, events had to be cancelled. Instead, unions released a video praising workers and members. Leaders took credit for the JobKeeper payment scheme and promised to work harder to make sure jobs remain as secure as possible during the pandemic. Restaurants and cafes could reopen next month. It won't happen in time for Mother's Day, but Queenslanders will be able to travel to visit their mums.
Mother's Day is on the horizon, and it may not look like it now, but at Birkdale Flower Farm this year, supply is light.
We've also had to resort to obviously growing our own. A lot of the markets are shut down, the flowers aren't coming from overseas.
It's an obstacle the farm hasn't had to face since opening in 1980. Birkdale Flower Farm lost 80% of its trade initially, with demand slowly picking up since then. Mother's Day could be a turning point and is usually the busiest time of year.
We're probably back to about 20% down, but staying positive for the weekend.
Cafes and restaurants aren't as positive.
It's really hard, I can say that. It's really hard for the businesses.
Next month, that could change. The government is considering lifting restrictions so they can reopen.
I think June's a good ambitious target.
Restaurant industry groups pitching their guidelines.
Reduce the touch points inside restaurants with social distancing of 1.5 square metres.
Under the guidelines, restaurants and cafes would be able to operate at up to 60% capacity.
Disposable menus or laminated menus by providing recyclable or, in the worst case, disposable cutlery.
It won't happen in time for Mother's Day, but Queenslanders will be able to travel. The 50-kilometre travel restriction is only recreational, with families able to visit mums who live outside that area. Isabel Mullen, 7 News.
The British government is now grappling with coronaphobia, with most Britons reportedly worried about easing their lockdown. Parts of Europe are starting to reawaken following nearly 2 months of restrictions.
At the Cologne Cathedral, the faithful have returned for the first time in 7 weeks. A socially distant congregation and choir. And communion is served from behind a plastic screen. Germany slowly lifting its lockdown, as is Spain, where people are finally allowed outside. Different age groups have been allocated different times of the day.
Of course I'm happy, because I don't have to deal with my wife at home after 2 months.
Britons have been told the end of the lockdown is in sight, but the easing of restrictions will be gradual, with nearly 28,500 Britons killed by COVID-19. A poll has found 4 out of 5 people believe British pubs and restaurants should stay closed, that it's just too early to allow them to reopen. Government advisors reportedly fear so-called coronaphobia could make restarting the economy here hard. Businesses are being told hot desking will be curtailed, lifts can't be full, shift start times will have to be staggered, and people will be told to shop alone. But it's the usually crowded London Underground that's reportedly causing the most headaches for the government. Social distancing isn't always easy. In London, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
Princess Diana will be the subject of a controversial new documentary set for release on Netflix. Being Me, Diana will delve into explosive claims of her mental health battles, eating disorders and unhappy marriage. The project is reportedly causing turmoil for her sons, William and Harry.
Coming up, the Brisbane family is starting a pen pal project with older Queenslanders. And we'll take you high in the sky with the Eagle creating incredible pictures over the Gold Coast. And Webby, you've got some breaking NRL news tonight.
Yes, Sharyn, coronavirus related, unfortunately. Hello, everyone. A coach and star player are in quarantine tonight as the game embraces the new normal and its Bible for life in the biosecurity bubble. And tiptoeing through the tulips while F1s go double Dutch in the Netherlands.
Truck.
It's not the end of the world.
What the truck?
It's the brand new season of Outback Truckers.
And it's our wildest adventures yet.
Tuesday, 8:30.
You truckheads are gonna love it.
And that's not all.
They're bringing along their brand new mates. Meet the Aussie Desert Collectors.
You won't believe the treasures that we unearth in the middle of the desert. Magic. It's good
Fun for the whole trucking family.
Tuesday from 8:30 on Mate.
Dad, we might need to pick up some more bread.
Dad.
I'll pick some up.
Thanks.
Now, more than ever, we know what families are going through. So this week, you can pick up Australian Cavendish bananas for just $2 a kilo. Find these and more great specials in our online catalogue. We want you to always get your Woolies worth.
That's why I pick Woolies.
1, 2,
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
Guess who's on the telly?
Mummy. Hi, Mummy.
Hi, sweetheart.
Proudly fueling Australian hockey fans big and small. Sultana brand. Full-on days start with full-on fibre.
A lot of us are spending more time at home.
Ow.
Using a lot more electricity and internet. Unfortunately, iSelect can't help with your naked partner walking past your big presentation. But we could help shrink those household bills. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect on 13 19 20.
JB stores are open for business with the hottest deals to keep you connected, like the Samsung Galaxy A51 phone for $529 and this Oppo Reno 2Z phone for $549. Buy in-store, online, click and collect or get it delivered. JB, you've done it again.
Is your home bursting at the seams? Call Storage King. Whether you just need to create more space, kids homeschooling, working from home, or your family and business need to declutter, Storage King has the answer. With stores everywhere, there's a location just around the corner. Making Storage King the kings of storage, moving and more. Temporary or permanent solutions with no lock-in contracts and contactless move-in. Call now and let Storage King give you back some space.
We start with breaking news. An NRL coach, test star and two teammates are tonight awaiting results for coronavirus as the code's strict biosecurity measures are put under the microscope. It comes as players went back to work and during hours of education sessions to ensure protocols aren't broken.
NRL 2.0. Welcome to the new normal. Strict quarantine check-ins. Players now taking COVID-19 seriously. Shoes left at gates, temperatures taken before entry is granted. Tigers stars asked to return the gym equipment they borrowed, while Cameron Smith used his time away for a Hugh Jackman-inspired makeover. Elise Bronco Corey Oates hasn't lost his cheeky side.
Thanks,
Probably. 2 hours later, they emerge with Rugby League's new testament, a 40-page biosecurity manual.
A bit of education this morning and everyone's really clear on what's required to come into the facility from Wednesday morning and what's required away from here as well.
So, what were the players' major concerns about the strict protocols?
The simple questions like, can we go to a cafe and grab a coffee, or can we go to the shopping centre to get the weekly groceries?
You just miss being around the boys and getting to get the chat out, like over and done with early. Get all the banter back in.
We did talk about getting a coffee van here at the club, where we can put some orders in. And one of the staff members, goes and collects it for the group.
The Warriors relishing day one of isolation. Only 13 more to go in Tamworth.
Big thank you from everyone at the Melbourne Storm for making a huge sacrifice and putting the game before yourselves.
They're no longer the New Zealand Warriors, they're now the New Zealand Tamworth Warriors.
The thin line Volandis is walking illustrated with Latrell Mitchell and Trent Robinson tested for coronavirus this afternoon.
He had one symptom and he's gone and got a test, and that's what all players and all officials and all coaches, and Trent's led by example, and I take my hat off to him, and I'm not nervous at all.
Chris Gary, 7 News.
The Storm were the exception today, unable to get to their training base until Wednesday. Allowed to brief players on biosecurity measures at Amy Park. Melbourne were denied permission to practice there by the Victorian government. Their sporting refugee status revoked this afternoon as New South Wales officials finally greenlit the border town of Albury to set up camp.
Albury presents us with the ability for people with families, should they wish to head back to Melbourne in a break. At the moment we're taking this as a week-to-week proposition.
Victoria's state of emergency ends next Monday. Cricket Australia's cash flow crisis has eased for now, set to secure a $50 million bank loan. While head office continues to slash costs, players are getting their head around what rules will look like in a post-coronavirus world. Shining the ball with saliva could be banned altogether.
It will be slightly strange, when you're on the field, it's so natural to get the ball and put a little bit of saliva on your finger and try and buff out some of the rough areas on the ball.
The possibility of shining with an artificial substance is being considered. COVID-19 has put Formula One's history-making return to the Netherlands on hold. Team Red Bull's released a video that was supposed to mark this weekend's Dutch Grand Prix, the first in 35 years. Drivers Max Verstappen and Alex Albon took an epic trip through the country in their race cars, passing some iconic locations. It's unlikely the Dutch GP will be part of the revised 2020 season, scheduled to begin in Austria early July. And Sharyn, that's our sport.
All right, thank you, Webby. We can't get enough of heartwarming stories right now, and a small southeast community has delivered in more ways than one. Today, brightening the lives of dozens of senior citizens.
Take a mum with a big heart and a little boy who loves to paint.
Mummy, I think they're green.
That is green, so maybe some grass down the bottom.
Throw in some community spirit and this is the result.
I just kind of thought, you know, that there might be people out there who might like a little painting and a letter.
There were 170 senior citizens at St Vincent's Care Services.
I was worried that we weren't even going to be able to get that 170 to do one centre, and we ended up getting over 250, which means that there's enough packs for 2 centres.
A Facebook post encouraged locals to jump on board, including the children at Blackwood Street Early Learning.
With all that's going on in the world at the minute, if we can all do something really little, you know, why not?
Cards, drawings, gifts, lovingly crafted by the community, hand-delivered by Beck this morning.
Thank you. There you go.
A day-making pick-me-up for the residents.
I can't believe that children their age can react to this so beautifully. Bless them.
The majority of the letters have a return address, so the residents can write back, potentially creating a connection that outlasts COVID-19.
There's been some pretty dark times, and to know the community's got our back gives us a lot of hope.
A future already looking much brighter. Emily Arnold, 7 News.
It's a unique view of the Gold Coast hinterland, why this eagle is capturing amazing pictures high in the sky.
And we'll see a few showers returning to our skies. I'll have all the details coming up next.
What you need to know right now to be ready for tomorrow.
To breaking news now.
Your definitive source. Turn to 7 News.
Suncorp has been supporting Queenslanders through life's ups and downs for over 100 years. And while 2020 is proving to be one of the toughest yet, we're here to support our customers more than ever. So, if you're a Suncorp customer in need of financial support, visit suncorp.com.au. Supporting you when you need it most. That's the Suncorp spirit.
The stylish Haval H2, a globally engineered, European-designed and feature-packed SUV. From just $22,990 drive away, Haval H2 Auto. New car thinking.
If you're a small business, you've probably got a lot of questions right now, which is why you should speak to a professional accountant who's trained in planning and cash flow management strategies. For further support, contact a professional accountant today.
You can open it now. Happy Mother's Day!
Oh, thanks, love. Look what Amy got me.
Be Mum's instant favourite with instant scratchets.
Have you two muted?
At Nature's Own, we know that fatigue can be either physical or mental. Nature's Own sleep and energy range can help you improve the quality of your sleep or support energy production throughout your day.
Your body's hot!
Nature's Own. Be body smart.
As this year continues to be a challenging one for all of us, NRMA Insurance remains dedicated to helping Australians. We've introduced a customer help program with a range of relief options to assist customers currently in need. If you're experiencing financial hardship, call us today to find out how we can tailor help options for you.
Is Is your home bursting at the seams? Time to call Storage King. With stalls everywhere, there's a location just around the corner. Temporary or permanent solutions with no lock-in contracts and contactless move-ins. Call now and let Storage King give you back some space.
Great Wall End of Financial Year Value is now on. Get a brand new petrol dual cab or diesel single cab with a free trade and a 5-year warranty from only $19,990. That's right, from just $19,990 drive away. Great Wall, it's built to work.
Their doors might be closing, but they're always open on eBay. Stay home, shop online and help support 40,000 Aussie retailers.
911, what's your emergency?
The adrenaline-charged show people can't get enough of. New 911, tonight on 7.
You slept with my brother. You covered it up for 20-odd years. And my daughter might be his. You'll always be my daughter, no matter what.
What if he's not my dad?
Home and Away, coming up next on 7.
In today's main stories, 160,000 Queensland students will be back in the classroom next Monday. Restaurants and cafes could be the next to open if cases remain low. Extra barricades have been erected on the Gold Coast after crowds flocked to Burleigh Hill, with some breaking the 1.5 metre rule. And a man has been rescued from rough seas near Wellington Point after his kayak flipped, leaving him treading water for hours.
A Gold Coast animal handler out of work due to the coronavirus is revelling in the newfound freedom. He's begun adventuring with his creatures and creating incredible images along the way.
This is Mark giving Des a pre-flight check. There's a camera, a radio tracking tag and a bell in case the 20-year-old eagle gets really lost. Let loose, the wedge-tailed eagle hurtles through the tree canopy, gaining speed as he drops along the edge of the cliff. Once in the clear, he banks left and soars out into open air. A bird's-eye view of the spectacular Lamington National Park and the head flicks from side to side, instinct from an apex predator.
There's kangaroos the whole way up, so it's probably like, oh, nah, don't need it. Oh, nah, don't need it.
Des and his handler have worked daily shows at O'Reilly's for a decade until a virus took their jobs. But Mark says the downtime has been brilliant.
You're looking forward to going back eventually?
No! No, I'm having a great time. There's so many things that I've been wanting to do with birds.
Never before have they had time for free flights. Des seems to be loving the newfound freedom.
Because now when I'm putting radio tracking on, I've got to stand in front of him to stop him. It's like a horse at a gate. He says, let's go.
Josh Adsett, 7 News.
Weather now, and Tony, this sunshine won't last too much longer.
No, it won't, Sharyn. We're expecting cloud and showers to start building again across the southeast by late tomorrow. But for today, nothing but blue sky. It timed out perfectly for Queenslanders making the most of some outdoor time over the long weekend. A cold morning inland while minimum stayed in the double figures closer to the coast. Tops in the mid-20s, perfect if you could find some sunshine. It was still a bit chilly in the shade though. Greenbank 4 up to 25 degrees, Archerfield 7 to 25. A few showers up towards Noosa over the past couple of hours. Moving on to the satellite, we do have this high pressure system down south driving our weather. Winds have turned more southerly with those cloud and showers building on the coast. Humidity has built a little bit this afternoon compared to those dry southwesterlies over the weekend. Otherwise quiet for much of the mainland. A cold front sweeping past southern parts of WA. Warnings are current for wind and rain there. Tomorrow it will remain wet in the west. Otherwise that high pressure system nudges further east. Our winds turn a bit more southeasterly. That's onshore with cloud and showers building later in the day. Around the nation tomorrow, a couple of showers on the cards for Sydney, a top of 21 degrees there. Storms on the way for Perth, otherwise dry for the major centres here. For the Queensland tropics, showers will start to build on the exposed parts of the coast, most likely around Mackay, 25 degrees there. Just a possible sprinkle, 28 in Cairns, and Townsville should remain dry. Heading south, showers also building offshore. Hervey Bay remains the most likely location to see any wet weather. A shower or two there, a top of 25 degrees. Dry tops of 25 for Bundaberg and Maryborough, and only patchy frost at best inland. Across the southeast, another cool night and mostly sunny morning. Then the cloud and shower should start to set in towards the afternoon and evening. evening. 24 on the Gold Coast, a bit cooler, 23 on the Sunshine Coast, and Caboolture also tracking for 24 degrees. Across the suburbs, bayside spots will be most likely to see any of that patchy rain, again most likely late in the day. Deception Bay 23, Manly up to 24 degrees. So in Brisbane, a sunny morning, cloud building into the afternoon, a 30% chance of a shower in the evening, 13 to 25 degrees. Looking further ahead, showers continuing through Wednesday, then it dries up, top of 26 on Thursday. In Ipswich, staying mostly dry and warming up, tops of 27 until Saturday, 29 on Sunday. On the Gold Coast, showers through Wednesday, a possible sprinkle again on Friday, top of 26. And on the Sunshine Coast, showers possible most days until Saturday, but it's still dry most of the time. The next cool change due next Monday, but in the meantime, staying mild amongst a few sporadic drops of rain.
Thanks, Tony. And that's all from us this Monday. Thanks for your company.
The latest from 7 News will bring you up to date at 10 tonight, and Sunrise is back in the morning from 5:30. From all the team, have a great night.
Good night.